Hello. My favorite hobby is buying books, probably even over reading them. But I have an issue because I have a severe lack of space on my bookshelves. As you can see, I'm double stacking and it's so fucking annoying. Today, I'm going to be doing a book unhaul because I need to get rid of some books. That's as simple as it is. I'm going to be listing these books on Pango Book. I may link my Pango down below. I may forget about it, but you can just look up the name of the books if you want to find them on Pango. I'm sure many people have these for sale. Let's get started. So the first category of books all are dark romance books that I read for a video, and they're all very problematic. So I'm just going to get through those very quickly. The first one is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. This book was the craziest of them all. I will say that. If you want to experience it for yourself, just hop on Pango Books. How do I describe this? This is a book about a woman who is sexually attracted to her stalker, and that's all I'm going to say. Next, we have Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. This is another dark romance book that I did not like. I didn't say this about the first one, but I hated that book. This is a book about a girl who's in love with her ex-boyfriend's older brother, but he wants revenge on her because he's convinced that she's the reason that his friends went to jail. Next dark romance book is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This is a dark romance book that's inspired by Captain Hook from Peter Pan. So everything revolves around like Peter Pan references. But essentially Hook is obsessed with Wendy, who's Peter Pan's daughter in this universe. But he's also like drug dealer, bad guy. I don't know. It's awful. It's so bad. Next book, There Are No Saints by Sophia Lark. This book follows a very famous sculptor in San Francisco who also kills people. It's a very bad book. If you want to read it, it'll be on Pango Books. Next are two books in the same series, so let's just get those out of the way. First is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan, and the second is Heart of the Sun Warrior. This one's a hardcover. So Daughter of the Moon Goddess follows the daughter of the Moon Goddess. Her mother has been like exiled to the moon for some reason, and then she's not supposed to have a child. They didn't know she was with a child when they exiled her, and so she's been living secretly on the moon. But then emissaries come and they like suspect there might be someone else on the moon there with her, so she casts her daughter down to like the myrtle world, and she lives there, and then she falls in love with a prince. I just did not like it. I don't know why people like this book so much, because a lot of people do, but I don't get it. It just felt very juvenile. The pacing was terrible. Everyone was in love with the main character. It was just ridiculous. And so I haven't actually read the second book, but I just don't want to, so I'm going to be getting rid of it. I should not buy sequels before I read the first book. I should not, but yet I have. And even behind me, there's many sequels to books I haven't read yet. So I'm just a mess. Next is a book I actually did like, and that is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This book takes place, it follows these like teenage girls who went to this like all girls school, but it was on it was like on this island, and then slowly this disease started overtaking this island, so it killed a lot of the girls and a lot of the like teachers and stuff, and the ones that didn't kill, it left with body horror things. Like one girl has like claws. It doesn't say on the back, so I can't remember what else the other girls have, but they all just like, it's left their bodies strange and foreign. This is actually a very interesting book. I had some issues with it, but I did like it overall. I just didn't like it enough to keep it on my shelves. I don't ever see myself rereading it or lending it out to someone, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Next, we have The Guest by Emma Cline. This is actually a signed copy, as the little sticker there says. This book follows a woman who is essentially just a guest. Good description, Sabrina. Essentially, she's living with her then boyfriend. They get into a fight, and he kicks her out. He doesn't know that she doesn't have anywhere else to go because she's been lying to him this whole time, and she decides to stay on like the island they've been vacationing on until he's about to have this big party, because she's convinced he's gonna take her back. And so during this like week or two in between, she's just crashing with random people and being annoying and obnoxious. I just thought this book was very boring. I didn't like it. I didn't really get it. I'm very disappointed because I wanted to love it. I even got a signed copy thinking I was going to love it, but I did not. The next book we have is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This book takes place during World War II, and it follows two people. One is a young blind girl whose father works at the Museum of like Natural History or Museum of Art in Paris. I can't remember which. And he's entrusted with like this priceless relic or a copy of it. He doesn't know if it's a real thing or a copy, because like a couple copies are made, they're given to different workers, but he's given either the copy or the real thing, and he escapes to where? Saint Malo. where his uncle lives. And then it also follows a young German boy who joins like the Nazi forces. So I thought this book was like crazy overrated. I don't really understand why so many people like it. I thought it was boring. I didn't really like the boy character at all. The girl character was like kind of interesting, her storyline, but it just wasn't as good as it's made out to be. Then we have Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This book takes place in a world where we have conquered death, but because of that, there's like rapid overpopulation. So there's certain people named Scythes whose job it is to like go out and kill people, and they all have different methods for determining like who they're going to kill and how they kill them. And it follows 2 young teenagers who are being taken on as like apprentices to this Scythe. This book, I think the idea behind it is really cool, but in execution it was just like a clumsy YA. I'm kind of over YA at this point, so I shouldn't have picked it up. I didn't realize it was YA when I did. I've also heard things about like, don't completely quote me on this because I could be wrong, but I saw one review where people were talking about how like in this book it's imagined that Israel takes over the entire Middle East, which is just a really disgusting thing to think about, and it's really gross that the author included that. So I don't want to continue. I don't want this in my life. After that, we have Death Valley by Melissa Broder. This book follows our main character whose dad is like dying. Her husband is chronically ill. She's trying to write a book, so she goes to Death Valley, California, and she's staying at a hotel, and she's going on like these walks in the, I think it's like Death Valley Park, actually. I think that's why it's named Death Valley. That would make the most sense, actually. And she finds this giant cacti there, and she enters it, and inside of it she's like seeing a young version of her father, and then she gets like trapped in the desert. So I just thought it was boring. That's pretty much it. I just thought it was boring. I didn't like it. And this one was a really big disappointment because I thought I was going to absolutely love it, but sadly I did not. Next we have 10th of December by George Saunders. This is a collection of short stories. I read this when I was reading Phoebe Bridgers' favorite books, part 2 at least. And I'm just not a short story person. I talk about this a lot, but I really want to like short stories, and there's been like 1 or 2 short story collections I've loved. But other than that, I read them and I'm just like, okay, that was fine. And that's pretty much how I felt about this one. Like, it was okay. There's a couple stories in here that I like, but for the most part, they're just like fine, and I just don't want to keep it. Then we have something that isn't a book. There's just a little journal that came with the Hunger Games books. I don't know why anyone would want this, but I might post it on Pango anyway. I don't know. I don't want it. Second to last book is Big Swiss by Jen Began. This book follows our main character who's kind of like a mess in life, and she's having a rough time, and she's currently working as a transcript for a sex therapist. And while she's transcribing his sessions, she kind of falls in love with one of his patients, who she calls Big Swiss. And then she later meets Big Swiss in actual real life. And she kind of uses what she knows about her from her therapy sessions to like make her also have feelings for her. It's kind of just messy. This is another book that I did like. I just don't see myself rereading it or lending it out to anyone. And I kind of want to keep my bookshelves like the best books that I've read. So this just didn't make the cut. And the very last book on this list is one that I'm kind of like back and forth on whether I should keep it or not. It's definitely my favorite out of these bunch, and that is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This book follows a white main character who is like a failing author. She's published a book, but it hasn't gone very well. And then she's like a fake friend to this girl named Athena, who is Asian. I think she's Chinese, and she's been really, really successful. She's kind of like a little darling of the industry. And she's hanging out with Athena one night, and Athena dies in front of her, and her reaction is to steal Athena's unpublished manuscript, which she then tries to publish as her own. So it's a satire on the publishing industry. Talks a lot about racism, obviously talks about Yellowface, hence the name. And I actually did enjoy this one. It just like, I give it 3 stars. I don't feel like this is one of the best books I've ever read. I don't really think I'm going to reread it or give it to someone. I'm kind of iffy about whether I should keep this one or not, but I think I'm going to get rid of it because I need to get rid of books. I need some more space on my shelves. So there you go. Those are all the books that I am unhauling. I'm sure I will be doing another unhaul video in another couple of months because I just have to get rid of books. I just have to. I just like, I have too many. I'm like drowning in books, which is such a first world issue, but it's an issue that I'm having. So there you go. Let me know if you want any of these books down below. And if you do, look on Pango. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon with another video. Goodbye.